Hello everybody, it's Airty here. Welcome to the video, and thanks to all the new subs. Can't believe all the support we got in our last video. It was really awesome to see that blow up. So if you haven't seen it already, go check it out. It's about how to position as a DPS. But today, we're going to go through my top 5 tips for solo queue, or climbing in solo queue. So let's get into it. Number 1. This is honestly one of the most important things. Keep a positive attitude. So if you keep a clear head and a positive demeanor, it's going to help your teammates focus on the game. It's going to help you focus on the game and improve your own gameplay. So if you're in a negative attitude, you're going to just bring your team down. If you're being toxic, things like that. So the more positive you are, generally the better experience you're going to have trying to climb. So if you can be a leader for your team, you know, lead by example, you're the common factor in all your games. So if you're always positive, you're always leading the team, then you're more likely to win. This can extend to things like, you know, don't tell your teammates how to play. Don't tell them what to play, when to play it, what to do. Don't shit talk them, tell them they're bad, tell them that they suck at their character, things like that. You want to reward good behavior instead. So rather than tell them, oh, you don't do this, don't do that, just make suggestions. Oh, maybe we could try doing this as a team, or maybe we could try doing that. Instead of saying, oi, you mate, you're playing like shit, do something else. Just say, hey, what can we do as a team to fix whatever the issue is? And we'll talk about that more in tip number 3. But also something that's super helpful is just feel free to absolutely pump up your teammates with compliments. Like if someone makes a good play, just type or use voice chat and say, bro, you're my hero, you know, whatever. Just gas them up, make them feel awesome. Because if, you know, people like to be complimented, and if they feel appreciated and like they're playing well, they're gonna play even better. So that's number 1. Keep a positive attitude, keep a clear head, be a good teammate, be a good leader within your team as well, and you'll definitely be winning more games. Alrighty, number 2, awareness and adaptability. So you really need to be, especially as you start to climb, you need to be aware of your team's positioning, their cooldowns, and sort of what they're doing, I guess. Sometimes we'll go and we'll make a play and it won't work out, and then we'll end up blaming our team, like, oh, why wasn't our tank there? Why wasn't our healer there? XYZ, you know, we come up with a million excuses of why it went wrong, but we need to consider that we didn't consider what our team was going through. Maybe they were occupied with a flanker. Maybe they were, they had all their cooldowns down, and so they were waiting for their cooldowns to come back up. It could be a million reasons, but if you're not aware of what your team's doing, you're not going to be able to make plays effectively yourself. So things to consider are your team's positioning, how many people are alive on your team, does your team have the cooldowns or resources to follow up on the play that you make? Are they even aware that you're making that play? So have you communicated to your team that you're going to be doing that? So you've got to be adaptable to these situations. And the other thing you can do as part of being adaptable is, you know, if you're not getting value out of your current hero, don't blame your team again, don't blame anyone else, you know, it's just not working for whatever reason. So you've got to switch to something that's going to work a bit better. And that comes with experience and practice and learning, you know, which hero works in which role, which scenario. But yeah, if we're very stubborn with our picks and the role that we play, it's less likely that we're going to win games, because sometimes you do have to fill, you know, sometimes you got to play tank, sometimes you got to play strategist, sometimes you got to play DPS, depending on who's on your team and how well they can play their roles. So if you've got at least one character you can play well in each role, and maybe 2 to 3 characters you can play well within your preferred role. So for me, I like to play DPS, so if I need to shred tanks, I'll play Wolverine. If I want to go for the backline, I'll play Psylocke or Spider-Man, etc, etc, alright? You want to be able to fill different roles within your team, so when push comes to shove, you're not just a one-trick pony that can't do anything else. You want to be able to mix it up. That being said, you can still be a one-trick and, you know, focus on one character, but sometimes it doesn't work, you know? If I'm playing Spider-Man into a Namor and you know, Bucky and all these anti-dive characters, it makes it way harder to win the game, and it's not fair on my team, you know, if I'm too stubborn. So you've got to be adaptable in that way as well. So best way to practice more the awareness side of things rather than the adaptability is just get into quick play and make a habit of constantly checking your team's, like, what their ult status is, where they're positioned, and sort of what they're doing before you make a play. Now you can't do this every time, but eventually after you practice it, it's going to come naturally. So Yeah, that's tip number 2 essentially, is be aware of what your team's doing. Don't always blame them, but try and work with them, and be adaptable with your picks and your plays. Don't always be the one to be stubborn and not change just because you want to play what you want to play. Obviously, you're going to encounter people that are super stubborn and that won't switch, and in times like that, it's even more important to be flexible, because if they're not going to change what they're doing, you need to change what you're doing, otherwise you're just going to lose, and it's all for nothing. Alrighty, so number 3 is communication. You need to communicate well with your team, especially as you get to high elo, because the more coordinated you are, you're going to make better plays essentially. So if you feel that you're getting good value with your plays, but your team's not following up or they're dying on repeat, a lot of the time I'll literally go into voice chat and just say, hey guys, what can I do to help you? Who are you struggling with? You know, what's the issue right now? Why aren't we winning? And they don't always reply, but sometimes they might say, oh, I'm really struggling with the Black Panther, you know, he's diving us and there's nothing we can do. Or I'm really struggling with the Magneto, he's just in our face and he won't get out. So what you need to do in that scenario is think about how you can help them and just talk to them. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, you know, the Hala's doing too much damage. So then I'll play, I don't know, whichever character, and I'll dive Hala and pressure her. So then my team can move forward and do what they need to do to help me win. You know, maybe they'll say, we're trying to kill the tank, but he's just getting healed and, you know, he won't die. So then in that case, maybe you want to go and distract the healers or fight the healers or create an off angle and split them up. So that way the healers can't use all their attention on the tank, and that way your team can break through that front line. So whatever the reason is, there should be a way to adapt and a way to, you know, come up with a plan with your team. If you've got a plan, you can execute it together and you're much more likely to win a game. If everyone's just doing their own thing, they have no idea what everyone else is going through, same thing with the awareness, right? Then it's just not going to end well. Another thing that's really good in terms of communication is just let your team know what you're going to do. So, you know, you might be playing DPS, there might be another DPS player, you might say, hey, I'm going to use my ult first, we're going to bait out the support ults, and then you go use your ult and you kill them all, you right? And so that way you guys have a plan of, let's not use both ults at once and just waste everything into a Lunar ult, into an Invisible Woman ult, or whatever. Let's stagger them, that way we actually get some value out of one of them. Or, you know, you might have a Groot on your team and you might want to combo with him, so you might say, hey Groot, when you get an opportunity for a big ult, let me know, I'm going to follow up on it. You know, just things like that. Or even something even a little bit less impactful, like, hey Luna, I'm about to go for a risky off angle, can you put your E on me so that way you can heal me even if you can't see me? You know, something like that. So keep chatting to your team, build up the habits of communicating, because if everyone is on the same page, it makes it so much easier to win a game. Number 4, learn from your mistakes. So this is one of the hardest things to do in my opinion, because sometimes after a loss, you'll just keep queuing up, you won't think about it, you'll just get pissed off and you'll keep queuing and you'll keep playing. Sometimes after a loss, especially a bad loss, we need to just stop queuing and go back to the replay and then watch what you did well, watch what you didn't do so well, and maybe ways you could have helped facilitate your team more as well, because it is a team game. So yes, sometimes we just lose because we get unlucky and not everything's in our control, but we need to make sure that we're at least aware of some of the mistakes that we're making, and that sometimes we need to remove ourselves from the actual moment when we're playing to go re-watch it and get a new perspective on things. So it's no different to how athletes will review old match footage to understand what went right for the winning team, what went wrong for the losing team. We need to be aware of these things so we can fix them and work on them. Alrighty, lucky last, number 5. Take care of your mental and physical health. It sounds really stupid, but it's the most important thing to actually do all of these other things, because all these other things require you to be in a good state of mind, to be feeling positive and to be feeling collaborative. You know, this is super important. If you're beginning to become toxic in your games, you're feeling terrible after a loss streak, you're tired, whatever, just log off, do something good for yourself, whether it's spending time with your family and friends, or heading out for a walk, doing a workout, reading a book, watching a movie, whatever it is that calms you down and sort of helps you get that reset. You know, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to climb if you're not thinking clearly, or you're stressed or upset, and you're being negative to your team, or, you know, even negative to people around you, just because you're desperate for that win. So at the end of the day, we play games to have fun. Although we expect there to be ups and downs with the competitive experience, if you're sacrificing your mental or physical health just to reach a higher rank, it's just counterproductive to ranking up anyway, and it's not going to make you happy long term. You're going to be miserable. So let's all try and do better to look after ourselves so we don't ruin our own or anyone else's day just over a game. So that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed these tips. I know they're mostly about your attitude and approach to the game, but these matter just as much as any technical advice I could give you. Your mental is so important for climbing. So let me know how you guys go implementing these things into your own games and into your own gameplay. And have an awesome day. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Cheers.